everybody, it's Tony Tominick and
Gary Spencer.
we are here for episode number, are you ready? Drum roll. 28.
Yeah.
And a minute or two of history.
Where are you?
I'm in the pantry at the Peter Miller house. I was looking for some beans.
Is that food behind you on the shelves there?
Well, at one time there was food in some of those items.
Okay. Well, I don't think you're going to have any trouble finding beans because I'll tell you what, they were a hot commodity back in the 1920s.
Beans? Wait a minute. Beans? Hot commodity?
Okay. Yeah. Campbell's pork and beans. And they had different little slogans that they would put on their advertising for the pork and beans. And one of them is the whole nation eats them.
Beans, the musical fruit.
And followed up by their other little slogan. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The joy of well-cooked beans.
Oh my gosh. Now I've had well-cooked like brisket but don't you just throw them out of the can and heat them up?
Well, I don't know, but it sure brought the nation joy.
And I knew joy. And
I'm sure you did.
Yes.
Well, and then
I did it.
You combine this delicacy with Crumbled brand from Kellogg's. That's crumbled with a K, okay? Crumbled brand from Kellogg's, and you have a gastronomic disaster. And then here is some dinner time inspiration for you. Are you ready? Take a look at this.
Yep.
It's a pile of spaghetti noodles, and you open up a can of chili and dump it over top of the spaghetti noodles, and you've got dinner.
Chili on spaghetti? If you've ever had Cincinnati style chili, have you ever?
Yes, Skyline chili. I have had that.
And guess what's on top of it?
All right. And you know what? You can really fancy that up and make it a meal for an occasion by adding some lovely stemware and a little of your own home pressed. Set the table.
And you're good to go.
Elegance unbeatable.
And if we only had friends, if I had friends, we could have them over and say, hey, what are you having for dinner? We could say chili, spaghetti, and some stemware.
With home pressed.
Yes.
And then, I have some concerns about the digestive difficulties that some of these gastronomic delights might be causing in consumers. How about you?
Well, yeah, the only thing that's changed there is that now we are eating healthy.
Yeah. Well, so they had their solution. You want to take a guess what that was?
No.
Well, then I'll tell you, it was chewing gum. More specifically, it was Beeman's chewing gum. And in its ad, it offered an antidote to this gastronomic challenge to the human condition.
So chewing gum is supposed to improve your digestion?
Well, yeah, but you had to follow their recipe for health, okay? Because they were pretty specific about it.
Okay, well.
Just take a look at the ad. And here's how you correct your indigestion. First of all, you have to have a rational diet. Kind of doubt that that's baked beans and noodles.
That's been gone a long time.
And then you must take care with mastication. It's chewing. You have to chew carefully.
Okay.
And then you have to make routine use of Beeman's gum after every meal and before retiring. They meant before you go to bed. They didn't mean retiring from your place of employment.
Yeah, because I retired a few years ago.
Common thing to do. So take a look at this next kid I'm not sure if this is a girl or a boy in this ad, but
Okay.
take a look at this kid. I I have some questions about the kind of bread that this kid was eating. Just what else was in it? Because look at that face. He's looking pretty happy.
Nothing speaks flour like a cherubic looking youngster wolfing down a piece of white bread.
With a questionable look on their face.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, and that's probably what led to the question, why bother with expensive cakes? A question I
Yeah,
don't
of course.
ask myself. How about you? But that's what Crisco wanted to promote when they were selling their product. You just grab a can of Crisco and birthdays will never be the same again.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that was an improvement over you know whale fat or lard.
I kind of thought Crisco maybe was lard with a name.
Yeah,
Lard with
you're
a person.
probably right. You're probably right.
But what do I know? To good old Campbell's again. Now this was billed as a tempting treat. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Oxtail soup. Now, anything with the words oxtail in it, I don't want to eat. You can have mine if you want, but it's got to give you pause for concern, right?
Well, I've actually heard that before. Fortunately for me, I've never been presented with a pot of boiling oxtail on our stove, but we did have beef tongue, and I remember looking at it on the range, going, "Oh my god!" But it was looked like a huge tongue boiling in a pot.
Ew.
Yeah, really.
Oh,
I
oh
know
yeah.
somebody's gonna watch this video, you or me or one of our intimate friends, and they will say,
Both of them?
"Oh no, I've had cow tongue. It's the greatest thing."
Well, that kind of conjures up the whole question of what was all this council meats all about? Council meats in the 1920s. It was a big deal. Canned meats. And
Well,
one of them was, you ready for this? Lunch tongue
lunch tongue.
in a
So
can.
you think it wasn't specifically beef tongue, but tongues in general?
I don't know, but they were for lunch.
That must have meant they were from smaller critters.
Ew.
So so a lunch-sized tongue is smaller than like a cow tongue.
So that would be like maybe a possum tongue.
Well, and if you look at the ad, it has Vienna style sausage, right?
Yeah.
And I remember going to my girlfriend's house at the time, now my wife, and her mother would crack open these, and they called them Vienna, Vienna sausage. And I looked at the can to see what was in it. And my
Yeah.
mother-in-law gave me a look of death and said, "Do not say one word about what's in this because it's inexpensive, and it would probably was a combination, as I recall, of anything left over on the floor at the slaughterhouse, and they put a skin on it, called it Vienna sausage."
Hyena.
Yeah, Vienna. That's a true story.
Wow. Well, that makes me want to skip lunch. And we've been having a lot of laughs at the expense of these 1920s foods. But in probably, another generation or so, they're going to have a good laugh on us because did you see what's coming out in China at McDonald's?
No,
No.
no.
Spam burgers. Yeah.
Bam, like
Spam.
Bambi.
No, spam. Like spam in a can spam.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's not all. Wait. The spam burgers have a special topping on them. Want to guess what that is? You don't want to guess what that is. I'm just
No,
going
I
to tell
don't.
you. It's crunched up Oreo cookies in mayonnaise.
Really?
Yeah. So
See,
so if you go
we
to
thought
China,
the coronavirus was the worst thing coming over from overseas. I think that could be more impactful. Now,
well,
not that I need to defend spam, but I remember eating spam and we'd cut it in a little can and slice it up, and It was okay. It was a good spam sandwich. I didn't mind those.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We need to wrap this up because it's lunchtime. So go make yourself either a spam burger or lunch tongue, or have some beans.
I'm gonna have some. My dad would call it poop on a shingle, only it
Okay.
wasn't the word poop.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Corned beef and white gravy on toast, man. All right. Well, I'm glad that we spent this last 15 minutes talking about food that I've never eaten other than a couple. But for now, it's Tony Tominick and
Jerry Spencer.
closing the door on chapter 28. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Every Sunday morning after church, my daddy piled us in the car. Me and my brothers in the back. He'd turn on the game and catch the play-by-play coming from the park. Mama opened up a map. We never had a clue about where we were going. She'd smile and say half the fun is not knowing.